Hey everybody, welcome back to A Better Computer. My name is Matt, and welcome to Season 3 of A Better Computer. I did not know exactly where to start this season. I've got a lot of things I want to talk about, and I figured the best place to start was with something that I really thought was going to be a big part of Season 2. I thought I'd be talking about all the new stuff coming out for it, all the new things that I was excited about, and I was hoping you guys would be excited about. And it turns out I got bored of it kind of as fast as you guys got bored about hearing about it. And that's this guy right here. This is the Apple Vision Pro. I've had it for 6 months, and I've been using it and wanted to share a longer term review with you guys today on how I'm actually using it day to day, what I'm not using it for, kind of how some of the big things that I think it's supposed to do and is supposed to make really great for me, it just doesn't, unfortunately, right now. And I'm going to talk about like why I think that is. But yeah, so what am I actually doing with the Vision Pro? Well, I'm basically just watching videos on it. That's basically everything I'm doing. My general use case is I am watching movies on this on the weekend when I am awake and my wife is sleeping in. So I just, ever since when I turned 30, basically my body was like, you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. And I wake up early every day, whether I want to or not. And my wife does not do this. She likes to sleep in on the weekends. So from 5 a.m. until a couple hours later, I have the house to myself. I'm just doing whatever I want, and I've been watching movies. I've been watching movies in the morning for years. I love movies, watch over 100 movies a year. Really, really love them. But in the last 6 months, I've been watching them on my Vision Pro. Part of that is because I wanted to justify the $3,500 expense that I made. This is the bottom of the line Vision Pro with 256 gigabytes of storage. It's completely fine for me. I'm using very little of that because I'm just using streaming basically. But yeah, so I've been watching movies on it, and I gotta be honest, it's kind of a really great movie going experience if you're watching alone. So it's not perfect, but I've actually found I started by forcing myself to use it because I felt like I needed to justify the expense, but now I just use it because I enjoy it. And I think that's good. I think that's really good. So I think that movies look really good on this. Obviously, one of the big things that you can do with it are make movies very large. You can make the screen as big as you can possibly make it, right? You can make an enormous cinema display in your living room, wherever you happen to be. And I think that's the really cool thing about it, right? I have a decent TV, like it's not super fancy, but I have a decent enough TV, and I enjoy watching movies on it. It's a 4K screen, looks very nice, 65 inches. Again, it was like a Hisense something or other. It's fine. But it's very good for me. I think movies look great on it. I've got a Sonos sound system that sounds very, very good to my ear, and I like watching movies on that a lot. But fundamentally, I'm locked to a 65-inch screen, and I'm locked to that physical location. Those are the two things that I think make the Vision Pro really interesting, because not only can I make the screen larger if I want, like I can make it ridiculously huge if I really want to, I can also take that anywhere. So I don't have to watch in my living room. I can watch in bed. I was sick a few months ago, and I just laid down in bed and just looked at the ceiling and had the movie up there. Like I was just able to completely lay down and just lay there and not have to move to the living room, not have to lay in a certain way so I could see the TV. I could put the screen where I wanted it. This was also really nice when I was on the road. I was in a hotel room one night and wanted to watch a movie. I watched Pacific Rim, and I watched that on the Vision Pro on a large screen with great audio. The speakers that are built into the kind of headset are really good. They're very, very good. They don't do noise canceling or anything because they don't go in your ears or anything like that, but they are very, very good. They sound quite nice. I think AirPods Pro sound better, but it's pretty great just not having to wear those. And I think that's kind of the magic of it, is you can take a big screen, a good movie-going experience anywhere. You don't have to be in your living room in a specific place. So that's pretty good. I'll also say this is the first headset I've used that movies look really great on them. So I've watched movies on the MetaQuest 3. It kind of sucks. Like, you do get the advantage of being able to have a large screen, but that screen does not look good in my experience. The video quality is always not that great just because the displays inside those headsets aren't that great. With the Vision Pro, it's much, much better, and movies look really good. So to my eye, which is relatively picky, but not super picky, I think movies look incredible on this. I think they look really good. I think they look crisp. I don't feel like I'm taking a visual quality dip by watching in this headset. And they look really good. I enjoy watching movies on the headset. That does make us bring up one interesting thing about the headset, and that is pixels per degree. So how high resolution is this display? I'll put some numbers on screen here to kind of give you an idea for where it is, but the gist is, in the realm of consumer headsets, it's easily best in class in terms of how many pixels per degree of like vision that you're getting from this headset. It's next level. It's really, really good. And even compared to some of like the $10,000 headsets, it's that pixel density is through your entire like field of vision. With other headsets, there's like a tiny window kind of in the middle of your vision that might be higher resolution, and then everything else is lower. The sustained pixel per degree resolution of your vision in the Vision Pro is really industry leading as far as I can tell from what I've been able to see. And despite that, it's still lower resolution than pretty much any other screen you're going to use in your life today. So I have a 4K monitor on my desk that I use to do my just normal computing throughout the day. And that has a certain pixel per degree. We've talked about that as kind of like retina. We've always talked about pixels per inch with display resolution. So your computer monitor, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, those are all pixels per inch. We've talked about that. And then based on how far away you are from that screen, that's what determines whether it's retina or not, right? Retina is, Apple coined the term, I think. But yeah, it's basically at what distance does a certain pixel per inch look in a way that I can't see the pixels anymore. It just looks totally smooth. And effectively what that's been calculating is pixels per degree, right? So as a screen gets further away, you get more pixels per degree of your vision that it's using, and so it's a high resolution. Anyway, what you get with the Vision Pro, even though it's industry leading for headsets, you're still getting something that's lower resolution than what we would call retina on any other screen. So I did the math and kind of found that in general, the pixel per degree equivalent, if you want to compare it to a computer monitor on my desk, a 27-inch monitor, a pretty standard size monitor, the Vision Pro is equivalent in pixels per degree to a 1080p 27-inch monitor. That's not great. I wouldn't want to use a 1080p monitor in my day-to-day life using a Mac, but it looks okay in the headset. And so, yeah, while those movies aren't as crisp as they would be watching on a 4K screen, which would have many more pixels per degree, it is still good enough that I don't feel like I'm missing anything. So that's a long-winded way of saying movies look quite good on this. And it's not just 2D movies. This does do 3D movies. So there are quite a few movies that are in 3D on this. I don't personally like 3D movies that much, but if you do, I think this is probably the best way to watch 3D movies. You don't have glasses in your face. Obviously, you have like the headset, but you don't have glasses that are going to dim the image and make it a more dim experience. It looks as bright as a normal 2D movie, which is great. And it just looks good, right? The display just does a good job displaying 3D stuff. And yeah, 3D movies look really good. So yeah, I'm watching movies on it. I'm watching 1 or 2 movies a week on it, and it's going quite well. There are a couple limitations that make it not perfect, though. So one of those limitations is app selection. Several streaming apps just aren't there yet, or their iPad version is available, but iPad apps don't play nicely with video. So yeah, there's all the iTunes stuff, of course, or Apple TV stuff is there. HBO Max, or Max, I should say, is there. Disney Plus is there. And that's kind of the end of the list for the big guys. You can install the Amazon Prime app as an iPad app, but what that's going to do is it's going to display in an iPad aspect ratio no matter what you're doing. So if you're playing a video, that video is going to be widescreen and you're going to have giant black bars in your 3D environment at all times. It's not great. Netflix is only available through the web browser. There is an app that does Netflix and Amazon Prime Video kind of in one app. It's called Supercut. It's a third-party app. This is what I would recommend for watching those things, so Netflix and Amazon Prime. watch those through this app. I think it's much, much better. And it is just a very nice experience on the whole. It does not sync with the Apple TV app. So if you're watching like a show or something that's not going to update the TV app with your status, you're going to have to do that manually afterwards. That's the biggest downside of this app, Supercut. And again, it's unofficial, so of course it doesn't do that. The other downside is eating and drinking. So I often eat and drink during these movies. Like I said, I watch them in the morning, and there I'm drinking my coffee, I'm eating my breakfast, and it's a pain to do that with a headset on, right? I'm going to unplug it for a second, and we're going to go ahead and put it on. I'm going to look ridiculous for a second. Also, side note, I know people were like, oh, this is going to look like totally normal. I know people think the Vision Pro looks weird now, but in a few months, everyone's going to be totally used to it. You're going to look totally normal just using a headset wherever you are. I don't know, man. I feel like a big old idiot whenever I'm wearing this thing. So, but the point here is, and the screen is off, so I literally can't see anything right now. When I'm trying to drink something, like I just like bump into the headset, and so I really have to throw my head back, and like it's hard to drink. Eating with it is annoying. I have like peanut butter like on things sometimes, and like I get peanut butter on the bottom of the headset, and I'm like, oh Jesus, like it's annoying. It's annoying to eat in it. So sometimes I'll eat my breakfast over like a YouTube video or two, and then I'll start the movie and I won't eat and drink with the headset on. And yeah, so it's definitely a mixed bag. And like I said, the fundamental thing is you have to be watching alone. There's no way to watch with someone else. And honestly, the idea of sitting on the couch watching a movie with my wife, with us both in our headsets, just sounds so dumb to me. Like maybe in 20 years, I'll look back on this and be like, oh, it's totally normal. But like today, the idea of two of us sitting on the couch, like just watching a movie, it really bums me out. I don't like it. And I don't plan on doing it. And certainly not when it would be a $7,000 investment to get both of us one of these right now. I'm not doing that. So definitely a solo affair. If you never watch movies alone, this is not a good movie watching thing for you, because that's a fundamental thing about it. So yeah, that's a lot on the video. There are a couple other video things I should say. There's two other videos I wanted to bring up. So spatial video. Spatial video is something that I'm relatively bullish on. And spatial video is kind of like 3D IMAX in a way. So spatial video is different from these normal like movies and YouTube videos and stuff that I've been talking about so far. Spatial video is a 3D video format, but the way it displays in the headset is it really encompasses your entire field of view. So wherever you are looking, your entire view, unless you like turn too far, but like basically your entire view that you can see is encompassed by this video. And it's shot in stereoscopic 3D and looks quite good. But like there are moments in these immersive videos that look so real and make you feel like you're in the moment with whatever's happening right now. They have a kind of this mini series of different things that they've shown. They've shown a couple with animals like rhinos and elephants. They've shown like some parkour people in France. They've shown someone doing like a high wire walk like across a chasm. They've done a highlight reel of the MLS, Major League Soccer, last season. There are moments in these that are just really mind-blowing and make me go, oh, this is a thing. There's something here that's different than what I see with any other way I can watch videos, right? The way I'm watching movies on this thing are what I'm used to, but bigger and more flexible. But I am still watching the same things. I can still watch those on a TV and be completely fine. This is something new, and this is something you can only do in a headset, at least with the technology we have today. Maybe there'll be some way to do this in the future, but the only way to watch this is in a headset. And I do think it is really cool. And I think potentially, if they can integrate these into sports somehow, into sports broadcasts, I think this would be a really interesting way to watch some sports. Basketball comes to mind as a really compelling one. I'd love to see football this way. Golf would be really cool. There's a lot of opportunities here to have kind of this sort of video. It takes forever to produce these things, though, so there's not a ton of them, and I don't have a ton of examples to show you. I can't show you any of them because of content policies on these things, so my screen sharing won't work. But anyway, I think there's something here, and I think it could be really cool. An example of this, and this is the second thing, I watched John Gruber's The Talk Show live at WWDC, where he interviewed a couple Apple executives. It's a softball interview, but what was interesting about it was the production. So they had basically, I think they said it was like just two GoPros they had set up, but basically they rigged up some cameras to film the stage. So it just was a static shot of John and the two people he was interviewing, and it was just there, and you could basically sit yourself in a theater live while it was being recorded, and you could watch this interview.
It's for the kids. You need to save a win for the next generation. I think, and I know we have, very serious, very complicated, very serious, computer science topics to talk about tonight. But I think it was a very fun and going to be beloved feature, in addition to being able to arrange the icons where you want, but being able to customize the look.
I felt so weird watching this thing, and I mean that in the best way possible. I have watched plenty of interviews. I've been to plenty of live shows, and I was really impressed with how much it felt like I was in the room with everyone else. I felt like I was sitting in the front row at the show. The video was generally low bitrate compared to what you're used to with something like YouTube or whatever, or Twitch or something like that. There were skips. It was stuttering at times. It was definitely not a perfect stream, but I felt in the room. And this is so hard to explain. And if I was hearing someone tell me this, I'd be like, what are you talking about, dude? That didn't actually happen. I'm telling you, I felt like I was in the room. I was laughing with jokes in a way that I wouldn't have if I was watching them like on YouTube, but I would laugh if I was in the room with those same people. It was very strange and really compelling. And I think that if this can improve, if they can really get this locked in, again, I think immersive video is very compelling. And if they can crack some sort of mainstream use case for it, I think it's going to be really, really great. So that's video. That's a long time on video alone, but that's literally all I'm doing with this thing. I'm not doing anything else of note on the Vision Pro. So that's basically what I've been able to talk about. So what else have I done? There's been a few other novel things that have happened with the Vision Pro. One of those is Marvel's What If. They did like an interactive story where you basically, a couple like Marvel characters come into your wherever you are, whatever room you're in, they kind of break into the room and they tell you, hey, we need you to save the world. And you go through these very they're light mini games where you kind of cast spells and like throw fireballs and stuff at the bad guys, and you see these little vignettes play out, and it's kind of fun. It was okay. It was a nice way to spend an hour or so. Totally free. So if you have Vision Pro, I would suggest you check it out. But yeah, kind of cool, but not like anything in the realm of like Half-Life Alyx or like a premier VR game. I also played some board games. I forgot what the game is called, but I'll put a link somewhere. And I played, so it was like checkers, it was Battleship, it was chess, a couple games like that. And I played it with a friend with spatial personas. And these are like 3D personas that are in the same environment as you. So they're not like a FaceTime call like the personas they originally debuted, where they're just in like a square on the screen. These are like, it's a 3D model of the person you're talking to in your space, and it shows they're kind of like their bust, kind of from head to like here, and then it shows their hands and arms as well. And so I would say, again, I would not believe someone telling me this themselves, but I really did feel like I was sharing a room, sharing a space with my friend when I was doing this. The games were okay, they were fine, but having an experience, spending like 45 minutes in a room with my friend, it was really interesting and compelling to have this experience. Another thing that was really cool is that they moved. They live on the other side of the country now, and I haven't seen their new house. And so after we were done playing the game, and we were just talking. He was like, "Oh, do you want to like see around the house?" And what he did was he was able to, in the call, he like I don't know how he did it, but he switched. So instead of me seeing his persona, I was seeing what he was seeing. So I was able to see the camera is just coming straight out of his headset, and he walked around the house and gave me a tour, and that was really cool. That was really cool to see, and it was stereoscopic 3D again, so it was a 3D view of his house, and it was really cool. It was really cool to walk around with him in his home, so that was really nice. The third one that I think is really interesting is the Gucci app. I didn't expect to like this. I didn't expect this to ever be a thing that I would install, but they have basically I think it's like 30 minutes or so, a 30-minute film about one of their new designers and their collection that came out last year, and it's really compelling. Basically, it's 2D video, but then they integrate 3D stuff around it. It's really, really, really compelling. And again, it's a free app. You don't have to like designers. You don't have to like Gucci. You don't have to like any of that. But if you have a Vision Pro and want something that's interesting to watch, I would highly recommend this. They do some really cool stuff there. Other than that, gaming, I would say, is not here. I've played some games on it, but they aren't great. There's really no real VR games in the way you would expect. I think one of the big limitations with the gaming story here is there's no controllers. You have to do everything with just hand gestures, and that sucks, right? I have a MetaQuest 3. I've played Beat Saber on that, and Beat Saber with the controllers is hyper accurate, and there's haptics. So like when you're hitting things, it's giving you haptic feedback, and that's so satisfying. It feels good, and it enhances the gameplay. With something like Half-Life Alyx, you're holding guns and you're pulling triggers, and you need to be able to like actually pull something, hold something. That works much better with the controllers. The Vision Pro doesn't do that. The Vision Pro does support like the PS5 and Xbox Series controllers, but that's just for playing 2D games, and that's not the same thing. So you can do that. I know some people have got like Moonlight or Sunrise or Sunlight. I forget what they're called. But yeah, there's a way to stream like your PC to your Vision Pro and then play your 2D games on a screen in the Vision Pro. That's okay. I haven't gotten it to work myself. It just, for whatever reason, I can't get them to see each other. But supposedly that works. But yeah, I think if the Vision Pro wants to be a real gaming device for in the VR space, they need to have some first-party controllers. People have figured out how to connect like Switch Joy-Cons to it, and they've kind of gotten some sort of like hacked version of Half-Life Alyx working with it. But it seems like not the way to work. Not the way to go long term. If Apple wants this to be a gaming platform, I think they need real controllers. Also, just a random note, just moving around the interface, I could actually probably do 30 minutes on this, but the eye tracking is really impressive. So like, if you don't know, the way you interact with it is not necessarily you just like look at things, but you have to actually focus your eyes on the UI thing, and then you pinch to interact with it. And I find it really exhausting sometimes, actually, to do this for a long period of time. I didn't realize how much I'm interacting with things on my computer, but I'm not directly looking at them. So like a good example would be scrubbing through a video. If I'm scrubbing through a video or like skipping like 15 seconds at a time through a movie or like whatever I'm watching, I'm not looking at the 15-second skip button. I'm looking at the video itself, and I'm just kind of like clicking my mouse, or I'm just tapping it with my finger. But with the Vision Pro, you have to look at it, pinch, and then look to see where you're at. Look down again, pinch again, look to see where that actually moved you to. Oh, I went too far. Look at the other button. And these buttons are usually very close to each other, so you have to be very precise with how you look. It can be frustrating. It can be exhausting in a way that I didn't expect. Let's see. What else? Productivity. So Apple pitched this not just as like some media device to watch videos on. Obviously, that was one of the things they wanted you to do with it. But yeah, they also showed someone wearing it at work, someone using it at work in a way that not only did they wear it like at their desk while they were working, like doing stuff, they also would walk to the break room with the headset on. And oh boy, would I not want to do that. I don't do any work in this because and I say this with love, because the people who worked on it did an incredible job making the software that this runs on. Like I think the software is very good. I hate working in this thing. I hate trying to be like productive in it. I do not want to work with my Mac in this. I do not want to use native apps to do work in this. It just isn't there. And I think one of the issues is that a lot of apps just aren't there. We had a couple apps added right up front. Things is an app I made a video about. Things has a native Vision OS app. It's good. I just don't want to use Things in a headset. Fantastical has an app as well. That's again good, but I don't want to live in my headset. And a lot of apps aren't there. So many apps that I use just aren't on the Vision Pro, so I can't use them. A good example, and an interesting example, is Ulysses, which does not let you use their iPad app, does not let you use their iPad app on the Vision Pro. They did a test flight that added Vision Pro support, and so you could use it in iPad mode, in compatibility mode on the Vision Pro. And then they ended that beta, and now I can't use Ulysses to write anywhere on the Vision Pro. Maybe that'll change shortly, but like they added a beta for that it let you use it in the Vision Pro, then they took it away, and now I can't write in it. There's lots of apps that aren't there, and it's frustrating because most of the things I do on an iPad, on a Mac, those apps have not made the switch to Vision OS, and so I can't do them. The other thing is that I realized I hate having myself locked into a screen, right? Like when I put on the Vision Pro, even when pass-through is on, and it's the best pass-through I've seen, I still think it very much looks like you're looking through a cheap like cell phone camera. But like even though it's best in class and I'm looking at the world around me, it's very much not the real world. And I always know that I'm not looking at the real world. I'm looking at a display. And I find that just mentally taxing. I didn't realize how often when I'm at my desk working, or where I'm anywhere working, I'm looking off, like I've got a window over here to the left of where I'm working, and I look out the window and I like seeing the real world, or I just look off to the sides or play with things on my desk, and like just none of that is as pleasant in the Vision Pro. And it's, again, I don't think it's the Vision Pro's fault. It's the added bulk on my head. It's the fact that if I wear the thing for more than a few minutes, maybe I'll cut away to me after wearing this for an hour, I have these just incredible red marks all around my face that are impossible not to see. It's a nightmare. It's really, I don't like being locked in a screen, trapped in a screen, looking at a screen 100% of the time. I'm certainly not going to wear this for 8 hours a day while I'm working. I just don't like it. And like we talked about with the pixels per degree when we were talking about movies, that applies to working on the Vision Pro as well, because you're still getting those same pixels per degree, the equivalent in the best case possible of a 1080p monitor, 27 inches on my desk. And I wouldn't want to work from a 1080p monitor at that size. I have a 4K monitor on my desk, and that 4K monitor is much more pleasant to use, it's just much more precise. The color accuracy is better. Like, I don't like using my Mac in the Vision Pro either. Again, because of the same issue. Even if I have a large Mac screen, the pixel density isn't there. There's perceptible lag in like mouse input and stuff. Again, it's the best in class. It's the best we can do, and I'm sure it was a technical achievement to make this possible, but it's just not as pleasant as using a normal computer. At this point, I don't even know what else to say. I feel like I've said my piece. The last thing I'll say here is I have three things. We'll wrap up with three things about the Vision Pro. Number one, you do have a battery that is wired up to the headset. So it's this battery. It's a little bigger than I thought it would be, but it's not the end of the world. It fits in my pocket pretty well. And then it attaches to the headset right here. And it very easily just kind of clicks in. It's very satisfying, very well built. I should say the construction of this is remarkable. It's an incredibly well-made device. The other issues are what make it a weird thing for me. But what's annoying about this is that this wire is annoying. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to ruin the device on its own, but it is annoying. And in a world where pretty much everything else is wireless, it is weird to go back to having this. Oh, it just turned on. To having this thing that you have to keep track of. You need to put in your pocket, or if I'm watching it on the couch, I need to put it next to me, or maybe I need to charge it while it's going because it only gets 2.5 hours of battery while I'm watching a movie. I may need to charge it, and so I need to have it plugged into something as well, which is easy enough to do with this USB-C port on the bottom. And yeah, it's just mildly annoying. This strap that comes out the back, we'll see if I can, like, it sometimes rubs up against my ear, which is annoying. Again, not the end of the world, but slightly annoying. And yeah, I'm looking forward to when there's a model of this that doesn't have an external battery. Again, not the end of the world, but would be better without it. Assuming they can get the same battery life, and lots of products are lots of trade-offs. I understand why they made this trade-off here, but I'm just saying it is annoying having this. And I look forward to the day where they can make one of these that I want to buy and doesn't have a battery attached to it. The second thing is comfort. Comfort is not good. So there's two headsets, or two straps. There's this one, which you see in all like the marketing materials because it looks the coolest and is the most iconic for this kind of product. And then they have another one built into the box that is more utilitarian, we'll say, which has a strap around the back and one over the top. I find them equally comfortable for my head shape. And so I just use this one because this part is more comfortable and doesn't mess up my hair as much. Obviously, with something just on the back of your head, it is going to flatten that out over a couple hours of using it, but it is what it is. So that's something. One thing I find very frustrating, though, is that I've talked to people about this and said it's not that comfortable. I get these kind of like red spots around my eyes from it just being there. And they're like, oh, no, that's not an issue. Sure, if you just buy the normal headset, that's not going to be comfortable. But what you have to do is you have to buy a second one of these, and you have to go on Etsy, and you have to buy one of these 3D printed kind of adapters that go here. After you spend like $150 or $200 extra, then you have two of these straps, and one goes over the top, and one is right here, and then it's comfortable. And I'm just like, the product should be comfortable. And for me, it's not great right now. So yeah, I really, really, really want them to get a good headset in the box. I know this is an issue with numerous VR headsets. I think people with the Meta Quest have also, they also invest in third-party straps, but it's got to be better than this. I think they need to find a way to make it more comfortable. And finally, this is like the smallest thing, but like this does eye tracking and it does foveated rendering to only render what your eyes are currently looking at in full resolution, and then everything else outside your main field of view is blurred more to save on rendering costs. I think this really shows how on the bleeding edge of performance this is. This is running an M2 processor, and that M2 is being pushed very, very hard. Like everything is pretty darn smooth in the headset. You aren't typically waiting for things to happen. Things generally scroll nice and smooth and everything. So like it's performing what it needs to do well, but foveated rendering, and you can really tell this when you take a screenshot and really see how much of the screen is not in focus. It's really being pushed to its absolute limits in terms of graphics performance. So yeah, lots of room to grow there. But yeah, that's it. This was a long video, I think. We'll see. It was a long time recording. We'll see what I edited it down to. But those are my thoughts on the Vision Pro after using it for 6 months. I would say if you are looking, if you have the money and you want to see what a potential future could be for computing, then this might be something that you should buy. This is why I have it myself, and this is why I haven't sold it on eBay, even though I've looked at eBay a few times to see what they're going for, to see if I should maybe try to get at least some of my money back. Spoiler, I could only get like half of my money back at this point, which is not great. But anyway, if you have the money to burn and you want to just take a gamble on something, go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to, right? At the very least, I think, at least if you're like me, you might have a good way to watch movies every now and again. And again, the movie watching experience, I kind of talked about the negative stuff in the second half of this video. We should go back to the movies. The movies are very good when watching alone. So that is a good use case. I would say for pretty much everyone else, I would not get FOMO about not having this product. I would say if you're thinking, oh, maybe this will replace what I do with an iPad and maybe I could get rid of the iPad. No, it is a totally different use case and is not going to do the things that you get from an iPad today. If you have like a couple $1,000s that you can spend on Apple computer stuff, I would recommend buy a nicer display, upgrade your computer, buy one of the new iPads. Like, for God's sake, you could buy the brand new iPad Pro, a Magic Keyboard, and an Apple Pencil, and that's going to be less than half the price of this thing. So yeah, I find it a hard sell right now for most people, but there's a certain niche of people that I happen to fall into that it is, I guess, worth it. But it's definitely early days for this and not something for everybody. So hopefully this review was helpful. This is one of my longest videos ever. If you liked it, drop a like down below, and I will see you here next time. Bye-bye.